Greetings, I am Claire. At the age of 26, I find myself residing in the vibrant city of Phoenix, Arizona. To the casual observer, my life today appears serene. Yet beneath that tranquil facade brews a tempest I never anticipated confronting. 2 years ago, I exchanged vows with Ethan, the man who holds my heart. My parents always disapproved of him. In their eyes, he was lesser than I. He hailed from humble beginnings, eschewed extravagant attire, and lacked the prestigious enterprises that the men of their dreams embodied. Yet, in my eyes, Ethan embodied it all: genuine, compassionate, diligent, and the sole individual who recognized my true self. In our small yet inviting apartment, we share our lives together. While it may not boast the grandeur of my parents' mansion, this place is brimming with love, an emotion I seldom encountered within the cold, judgmental confines of my family's home. As I reach the 6-month mark of my pregnancy, the thrill of anticipation deepens with every single day that unfolds. Ethan and I are anticipating the arrival of twins. As I perch on our quaint balcony, my hands gently cradle my blossoming belly, lost in reverie about the wonderful life that awaits us. Each time Ethan speaks to my belly, his gentle whispers of promises to our unborn babies make my heart swell with emotion. For a fleeting instant, I believed I had truly liberated myself from the suffocating grasp of my family's toxicity, their relentless scrutiny, incessant comparisons, and the insidious web of emotional manipulation. Yet, beneath the surface, a whisper of intuition told me they would soon break their silence. Their betrayal struck me with an unexpected force, leaving me reeling from its cruel impact. On a seemingly mundane morning, my phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message arrived from my mother, Victoria. Please, return home this evening by 6 p.m. It is imperative that we have a conversation. No explanation was provided. There is an absence of warmth, only that brief, icy note. A sense of unease washed over me. It had been months since I last set foot in their home. Not since they openly expressed their sentiments regarding my marriage. Yet, I endeavored to maintain an optimistic outlook, pondering that perhaps, just perhaps, they sought to forge a truce. Now that I bore their grandchildren, I was utterly mistaken. As the hours unfolded, my thoughts continually returned to that message. I attempted to dismiss it, persuading myself to refrain from overanalyzing. Ethan, as ever, perceived the concern lurking beneath my feigned grin. "Are you certain you wish to venture forth alone, Claire?" he inquired softly while pouring me a cup of tea. "I can free up my evening and join you." I gently shook my head, my hand resting softly atop his. "Absolutely not, dear. I believe it would be best for me to venture forth alone this time. Perhaps they simply wish to converse and resolve any misunderstandings. If they catch sight of you, it could rekindle the tension once more." He remained silent. Ethan consistently honored my decisions, despite his concerns. Yet just before our departure, he gently rested his hands on my belly and murmured tenderly to our little ones, "Mommy's brave, and so are you. I will remain here, ready to assist you whenever you require my presence." We made our way to my parents' house in silence. Their opulent suburban residence loomed majestically, embodying the very essence of triumph they reveled in showcasing. Yet, for me, it always lacked the essence of home. It perpetually exuded an icy aura of authority and meticulousness. As we arrived at their driveway, Ethan tenderly clasped my hand for one final moment. "If anything feels amiss, just give me a call," he said. "I shall." With a quiet smile, I made a promise, focusing on calming my breath. Ethan lingered until I had safely arrived at the front door. Once my mother had unwrapped it, he set off to complete his errands as intended. As I crossed the threshold, an unsettling chill coursed through my veins. The silence in the house was strikingly profound. The air was devoid of my mother's culinary aromas, and the familiar strains of music were absent from the background. Just an oppressive stillness. With measured steps, I entered the living room. My mother Victoria, Father Edward, Brother Tyler, and Sister Martha were all perched rigidly on the long leather couches, their faces devoid of expression. The atmosphere was dense, oppressive, reminiscent of stepping into a courtroom instead of my parents' abode. "Greetings." I offered a gentle greeting, my smile a careful mask of politeness. Silence enveloped the room, as no one offered a reply. Only Tyler met my gaze, not with warmth, but with an icy precision, as if he were weighing my worth with a measured detachment. "Take a seat," my father finally instructed, gesturing toward a solitary chair by the window. I complied, my heart racing slightly, aware that this gathering was far from a simple family affair. Suddenly the ambush unfolded. Silence enveloped the room, a stillness that stretched on, as if time itself had paused. The only sound that reached my ears was the soft, rhythmic ticking of the antique clock perched above the fireplace. My palms became clammy as I lingered, uncertain of the true reason for my presence. Tyler leaned in, setting a printed sheet down on the glass coffee table before me. "You've been pilfering from Mom and Dad's retirement fund," he remarked with a chilling detachment. My gaze flicked to the document. A bank statement lay before me, its pages marked by a series of transactions encircled in bold red ink. A particular transfer piqued my interest right away. A withdrawal of $100,000, with the recipient identified simply as S. Bennett. I gazed at the paper, disbelief washing over me as my throat constricted. What is this? What could this possibly be? I have never laid a finger on that account. I find myself without access to it. "Don't play innocent, Claire," my sister Martha snapped, her voice laced with a sharp edge. "Here lies the evidence. Since you tied the knot with that nobody, you've been exploiting Mom and Dad." "That's not true," I asserted, my voice quivering yet resolute. "I have never accepted a single dollar from anyone. You're aware of that. Do you believe we lack understanding?" My father, Edward, issued a sharp command. "Your selfishness has always been evident. Since the moment you wed Ethan, you've become a source of disappointment for this family, and now it seems you're taking from us." Tears brimmed in my eyes, not from remorse but from the harsh unfairness of their words. What would compel me to take from my own parents? Your lack of trust in me has always been evident, but this is an utter fabrication. My mother Victoria shook her head, a chill of disappointment etched across her features. "Claire, you have transformed. You have strayed far from the daughter we nurtured. This family has faced enough embarrassment already." It was almost unimaginable, the words that reached my ears. This was not merely a miscommunication. It was a carefully orchestrated scheme. In that moment, Martha struck with a decisive blow. With a self-satisfied smile, she remarked, "I wouldn't be surprised if this was your plan all along. You chose a partner unworthy of your stature, and when that failed to satisfy you, you turned your sights on our family's wealth." I rose to my feet, my breath coming in heavy gasps. "Cease this at once. I assure you, none of this was my doing." However, my father raised his hand, interrupting me abruptly. "That is sufficient. Our family has engaged in thoughtful discussion about it. You have been severed from this household, and you no longer belong to this family." In that fleeting instant, I stood still, grappling with the harshness of his words. "Gather your belongings and depart," Tyler remarked, his voice laced with a sense of triumph. "Your bags have been meticulously packed and are ready to go. Your presence is not welcome here." My knees buckled beneath me. My vision became obscured by tears. Accusations were not merely directed at me. I was being systematically erased. Yet I found myself unready for the unfolding events that lay ahead. Before I could utter another syllable, my mother abruptly rose to her feet, her eyes ablaze with fury. With a sudden and decisive movement, she struck me sharply across the cheek. The sudden jolt caused my head to whip around, and a breathless gasp slipped from my mouth. My cheek ignited with heat, yet the anguish in my heart eclipsed it all. "Such an ungrateful girl you are," Victoria exclaimed. "You've brought us enough shame." I instinctively clutched my belly, gripped by a terror that extended beyond myself to encompass my precious babies. My legs trembled as I attempted to retreat, but before I could distance myself, Tyler surged forward. With unwavering determination, he seized a fistful of my hair and pulled me back with merciless strength. I let out a cry as he pulled me across the polished hardwood floor, treating me as if I were nothing more than refuse. My hands trembled as they clutched my stomach, a fierce instinct driving me to shield my unborn children. "Kindly cease," I implored, tears cascading down my cheeks. "I'm expecting a child. You're going to cause harm to the little ones." Yet Tyler displayed an utter lack of compassion. His hold grew firmer as he pulled me toward the front door. "You are worthy of every ounce of this," he snarled. "This is a consequence of your own actions." Martha lingered close, her arms folded, observing the unfolding drama with a wry smile, as though relishing in my embarrassment. As Tyler approached the front door, he swung it wide and propelled me onto the porch as if I were inconsequential. The frigid evening breeze brushed against my tear-stained cheeks as I faltered, on the brink of collapsing to the ground. "Never return to this place," my father declared icily from behind him. "You are no longer a part of this family." The door banged closed, plunging me into solitude amidst the shadows. A shiver coursed through my body. My heart raced furiously within my chest, and a whirlwind of dread engulfed my mind. With a tender touch, I rested my hands on my belly, sensing the delicate movements from within. My little ones remained by my side, and that was the sole thread holding me together, preventing me from unraveling completely. My hands trembled as I searched for my phone. As I scrolled to Ethan's number, my vision began to blur. "Ethan?" Tears streamed down my face as he responded. "I kindly ask that you come and retrieve me." "I'm on my way," he declared with urgency. "Remain in your current position. I am on my way at this very moment." In mere moments, the glow of his headlights emerged at the far end of the driveway. As Ethan leaped from the vehicle, his complexion was drained, a canvas of sheer panic. As he caught sight of me on the front steps, tears streaming down my face and my hands wrapped around my belly, his face transformed into a mask of pure terror. "Oh my God, Claire!" he exclaimed, hurrying to my side and sinking to his knees. "Are you in pain? Are the little ones all right?" I attempted to voice my thoughts, yet the words became ensnared in my throat. My body trembled with an intensity I couldn't control as Ethan enveloped me in his embrace, drawing me near. "Come on," he urged, his voice low and resolute. "We are heading to the hospital. At this very moment." He assisted me into the car with utmost care, his hand remaining gently on my stomach, a constant shield for the babies with each delicate motion. My tears flowed endlessly, yet his steady, composed voice anchored me, preventing my complete unraveling. The journey to the hospital seemed to stretch on indefinitely. I gazed out the window, my thoughts swirling around the events that had just unfolded. Whispers of treachery, shadows of deceit, echoes of brutality. How could my own family betray me and my unborn children in this way? Upon our arrival at the emergency room, Ethan hurried to the front desk. "She is in her 6th month of pregnancy. She endured an assault." He conveyed his message with a sense of urgency. The nurses sprang into action, ushering me into a secluded room. The monitors were connected. My blood pressure, heart rate, and contractions underwent meticulous scrutiny. The gentle, rhythmic beeping of the fetal monitors evoked a blend of solace and trepidation. Ethan remained steadfastly by my side, his hand clasping mine with a firmness that suggested his touch alone could anchor me to reality. After what seemed like an eternity, the doctor finally stepped into the room, his demeanor a blend of calmness and gravity. "Mrs. Claire, I have wonderful news," she murmured gently. "Both infants are in stable condition. The fetuses exhibit no indications of trauma, and you are not presenting any symptoms of preterm labor. Nonetheless, it is essential for you to take ample time to rest. Experience a period free from both physical and emotional strain throughout the rest of your pregnancy." Relief washed over me, and tears cascaded down my cheeks as I exhaled a trembling breath. Ethan pressed his lips gently to my forehead, his voice barely a whisper. "Thank goodness. I'm so relieved to hear that you both are safe." The doctor provided Ethan with an extensive list of precautions prior to granting me discharge later that evening. The hospital staff spoke softly, their words wrapping around me like a warm embrace, yet the burden in my chest lingered, unyielding. Upon our return to the apartment, I nestled against Ethan's shoulder, weary yet resolutely steadfast. As I nestled on the couch, enveloped in Ethan's embrace, I discovered the courage to voice the emotions that had been simmering within me since that fateful night. "Ethan, they've truly overstepped this time. They attempted to harm our little ones. They sought to obliterate my very essence." His gaze sharpened, his jaw tightened. "I understand," he replied, his voice low yet resolute, "and now we rise to the challenge." On the following morning, we found ourselves seated together in our cozy living room. The sun had just begun to rise, yet sleep had eluded both of us, though my body ached. My mind was more alert than it had ever been. This was something I simply could not overlook. Not for my own sake, not suitable for my children. Ethan extended his hand and grasped mine firmly. Claire, I have already reached out to Alexandra. She is among the finest attorneys in the area. She awaits our arrival. Several hours later, we entered Emily's law office in the heart of downtown. She stood tall and exuded confidence, a woman in her late 30s whose piercing eyes enveloped me in a sense of safety and understanding the instant we took our seats. I have examined the details that Ethan provided to me last night. Emily spoke, her tone steady yet commanding. This transcends mere family drama. This is an act of injustice, assault, financial fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, and with your pregnancy in mind, the implications of the aggravated assault charges are significantly heightened. As I recounted the entire saga, from the unfounded allegations to the physical assault, Emily diligently noted each detail, her demeanor betraying no hint of skepticism or uncertainty. The initial action, she elaborated, is to submit a criminal complaint. A comprehensive investigation into the purported theft will also be sought. I possess connections capable of procuring subpoenaed bank records, computer logs, and surveillance data. I nodded, my voice trembling ever so slightly. I seek justice, Emily, not path of revenge. She assured him, you will have it. In just a matter of days, the investigation had gained momentum. Law enforcement officials arrived at my parents' residence, gathering documents, computers, and bank statements. The truth started to reveal itself at a pace I had not anticipated. In the meticulous examination of my mother's computer, it became evident that an unauthorized individual had infiltrated my personal financial information on the precise day I utilized her laptop to submit my scholarship application. Several months prior, every digital footprint pointed to a singular individual, Tyler. He exploited a password manager I had saved, infiltrated my credentials, and assumed my identity to pilfer $100,000 from my parents' retirement fund, casting me as the perpetrator. Simultaneously, law enforcement discovered a series of emails and messages exchanged between Tyler and Martha, meticulously orchestrating the entire scheme. The evidence presented against them was indisputable. In the span of just 1 week, arrest warrants were issued for each and every one of them. Tyler faces charges of financial fraud, hacking, theft, and physical assault. Martha faces charges of conspiracy, intellectual property theft, and perjury. Victoria and Edward face charges of assault, aiding in fraud, and conspiracy. One by one, they were taken into custody, emerging from their home with hands bound in handcuffs. As I observed the news report later that evening, displaying footage of their arrests, I experienced no joy, merely a peculiar blend of relief and sorrow. These were the individuals who nurtured my growth, yet they sought to unravel my very being. Ethan softly draped his arm over my shoulders as we both gazed at the screen. It is merely the dawn, Claire, he murmured. The genuine truth is about to be unveiled. As the weeks unfolded, my resolve deepened with each passing day. Under the expert guidance of Alexandra, we readied ourselves for the most pivotal confrontation of my existence, the court trial. The courtroom loomed large, yet an oppressive weight settled upon me as I stepped inside. Ethan grasped my hand firmly, his unspoken resilience anchoring me in place. Across from me were my parents, brother, and sister, their faces devoid of emotion, concealed behind the facade of their costly lawyers. Judge Rebecca Collins, a formidable presence in her early 50s, took the helm of the proceedings. With a keen gaze, she scrutinized each face in the room as the trial commenced. With a sense of assurance, Emily stood up and commenced her presentation of the case. The prosecution commenced with the account of the physical assault. Your Honor, Emily asserted with conviction, the defendant, Victoria Bennett, did indeed physically assault my client, who was 6 months pregnant at that time. Tyler Bennett seized her by the hair and forcefully hurled her out of the house. This was not merely a physical assault. It was a deliberate act aimed at jeopardizing the lives of both the mother and her unborn twins. The hospital's medical reports were submitted as evidence, accompanied by photographs captured that very night. The mark on my skin remains apparent. Then emerged the financial deception. Emily unveiled intricate forensic evidence extracted from my mother's computer. The access logs, The IP addresses and the security reports converge, all leading unmistakably to Tyler. This was no mere accident, Emily pressed on. Tyler Bennett deliberately accessed saved password managers to log into Claire's financial accounts while she was utilizing her mother's computer several months prior. He moved $100,000 from the retirement fund into a concealed personal account, implicating my client in the process. The court screen illuminated with screenshots of Tyler's emails to Martha. Their icy, deliberate words laid bare their entire scheme to ensnare me. Martha's role was certainly significant. Emily revealed the extent of her betrayal, having taken my biotech project and showcased it as her own, all in a bid to establish her own startup built on my stolen efforts. Before the court, my original project drafts, timestamps, and advisor records were presented as irrefutable evidence. As the recordings echoed through the room, Tyler's voice laid bare the ease with which he framed me, while Martha's derisive laughter at my efforts lingered in the air, casting a heavy silence over the courtroom. For the first time, even my parents appeared visibly shaken. The defense attorneys contended that it was merely a familial misunderstanding, suggesting that emotions had obscured clear judgment. Yet, Judge Collins remained unmoved. Upon careful examination of the evidence presented, Judge Collins rendered her preliminary decision. The court has uncovered compelling evidence of deliberate fraud, identity theft, assault, and conspiracy. The actions taken were not born of confusion, but rather of calculated intent aimed at inflicting financial and emotional devastation upon the plaintiff. I remained motionless as the judge enumerated the charges. At last, she spoke to me directly. Mrs. Claire, this court acknowledges not just your innocence, but also the remarkable courage you've shown in confronting your own family. Justice shall prevail. Emotions surged within me as Aaron softly grasped my hand. The truth had finally been liberated. Yet, the sentencing remained on the horizon. 2 weeks later, the courtroom reconvened for the sentencing hearing. The atmosphere in the room had shifted completely this time. The defense stood utterly depleted. Their fabrications crumbled beneath the burden of undeniable proof. Judge Rebecca Collins fixed her gaze upon my family as she pronounced her sentence, her voice unwavering, serene yet commanding. Serene. Upon meticulous review of all evidence, testimonies, and digital records, this court hereby pronounces the following sentence. She hesitated briefly, her gaze first drifting toward Tyler. Tyler Bennett, having been found guilty of financial fraud, identity theft, aggravated assault on a pregnant woman, and conspiracy, you are now sentenced to a term of 12 years in state prison, with no possibility of early parole. Your deliberate choices not only inflicted financial damage, but also carelessly jeopardized the lives of 2 unborn children. Tyler remained motionless, his complexion drained, as if the gravity of his transgressions had at last descended upon him. The judge then shifted his gaze to Martha. Martha Bennett, for the crimes of intellectual property theft, conspiracy, perjury, and fraud. You are hereby sentenced to a term of 7 years in prison. Your endeavor to appropriate and gain from your sister's research was intentional, harmful, and morally wrong. Martha's once confident stance faltered, her head bowing as the weight of her new reality enveloped her. Then my parents arrived. Victoria Bennett, for the offenses of physical assault, aggravated assault on a pregnant woman, aiding in fraud, and conspiracy. You are hereby sentenced to a term of 6 years in state prison. Edward Bennett, for your role in aiding and abetting conspiracy, engaging in financial fraud, and neglecting to report ongoing criminal activity, you are hereby sentenced to 4 years in state prison. As Judge Collins concluded her remarks, she cast a final glance in my direction. This court acknowledges you, Mrs. Claire, for your remarkable strength, unwavering resilience, and the courage you have displayed in confronting this profound betrayal. The scales of justice have been balanced. As the officers moved forward, a hush enveloped the courtroom, each family member being led away in turn. The individuals who once embraced me as their daughter, sister, and child, the very ones who endeavored to unravel my existence, were ultimately brought to justice. Ethan wrapped his arm around me just as the final door clicked shut behind them. His voice carried a gentle strength. It has come to an end, Claire. They can no longer inflict pain upon you. I released a deep breath, not in satisfaction, but in the profound relief that came with the knowledge of my liberation from their bonds. 2 months post-sentencing, a sense of tranquility began to envelop my life once more. The burden that had once weighed heavily upon my heart was now gone, allowing my attention to shift entirely to the cherished beings blossoming within. The 9 months of pregnancy had arrived at their concluding phase. Ethan and I have devoted the past few weeks to readying our apartment for the impending arrival of our twins. The quaint nursery brimmed with gentle pastel hues, delicate garments meticulously arranged, and 2 cribs positioned side by side, embodying the fresh start we had tirelessly endeavored to attain. In the stillness of a tranquil dawn, it occurred. In the stillness of a tranquil dawn, it occurred. I roused Ethan from his slumber, gripping his arm tightly, my breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. "It is time," I murmured. In mere moments, we arrived at the hospital. The nurses swiftly assumed control, leading me with a gentle touch through the journey of labor. Ethan remained steadfastly by my side, his hand enveloping mine, murmuring words of encouragement, his gaze brimming with pride and affection. Time slipped away in a haze of suffering, struggle, and feeling. At last, the room resonated with the most exquisite melody I had ever encountered, the cries of our newborn babies. Initially, a thriving baby boy. Shortly thereafter, his sister appeared, radiating health and beauty just as he did. Tears streamed down my cheeks, mirroring the glistening in his own eyes. "We accomplished it, Claire," he murmured. "They have arrived, and they are flawless." As I gazed upon our children, an overwhelming love enveloped me, a depth of feeling I had never imagined could exist. In that instant, all betrayals, all heartbreaks, all moments of anguish seemed to fade into the realm of distant memories. At this moment, we possessed all that we had ever genuinely desired: love, tranquility, and our cherished family. As I reclined in my hospital bed, observing our little ones slumbering serenely in their cribs, Ethan leaned in gently and whispered, "This is our true family, Claire. A foundation rooted in love, rather than domination." And a smile crept across my face, for I understood he was indeed correct. The life they sought to dismantle, we reconstructed with greater strength, freedom, and beauty than they could ever conceive. If this poignant exploration of resilience, treachery, and retribution resonated with you, be sure to show your appreciation by hitting the like button. We invite you to express your thoughts in the comments section below. I perused each and every one of them. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more compelling real-life narratives. I appreciate your viewership and support.